Welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We have Octavia Wyatt here, Malik Miller, Cardell Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpey Jr. And we're gonna get straight to it, Octavia. What the heck happened in your division this week? You're here, so I know the outcome of one game because that had a really loud threat last week that if the Raiders beat you, we wouldn't be seeing you today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I have arrived. I'm here. Thank God, because I don't know if the city of Philadelphia would still be standing if I was not here today. I think that the fans of the team probably would have burned the city down at this point. But in regards to that, that means that it's another wild week in the NFC East, and we'll start with said team. The Philadelphia Eagles played against the lowly Las Vegas Raiders. They defeated the Raiders 31-0. Jalen Hurts was 12 of 15, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7 carries for 39 yards. Saquon Barkley had 22 carries for 78 yards and 1 touchdown and 2 receptions for 14 yards. Dallas Goedert had 6 receptions for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Should have been 3. And A.J. Brown had 2 receptions for 41 yards and 1 touchdown. On the Raiders side, Geno Smith was injured. I think he has an injured shoulder. So Kenny Pickett started. He was 15 of 25, 64 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. 2 carries for 7 yards. Ashton Genty had 9 carries for 35 yards and 4 receptions for 7 yards. And Brock Bowers had 6 receptions for 28 yards. A lot of stuff that I've been reading since this game says how much of a huge bounce back it was for them, which of course it was definitely needed. I will be the first person to say I completely understand that this was against the Las Vegas Raiders. I believe they're 2-12 now or something like that. And we know that they just are not a good football team currently. But another thing I also will make sure I stand on is that you play the teams that are in front of you. And there were a lot of times this season that there were teams that we were supposed to beat that we did not. So it's nice to see, after the performance from the week prior, after being on a 3-game losing streak, Jalen Hurts having 4 interceptions and a turnover and a fumble last week against the Chargers. Responding, however that may be, against whoever is just what they needed. And I'm happy, and I'm sure they're happy as well, that they went out there and did that. Hurts was nearly flawless. He was 12 of 15 passes, 175 yards and 3 touchdowns, and a passer rating of 154.9. Definitely, I would say, restored some confidence. I know also last week there were a lot of talking heads, specifically in Philadelphia and media, that were asking if Jalen Hurts should be benched, which is absolutely ludicrous. There are many of quarterbacks within the NFL who have had very, very bad games. One that comes to mind, I think they won the game even though, but Jared Goff had 6 interceptions in one game. We talked about Daniel Jones earlier this year. I believe he had 4 interceptions in the game as well. Unfortunately, it happens. Luckily for them, it hasn't put them out of the driver's seat for their own goals to going forward. This win gives them a little bit more cushion within the NFC East, knowing that they have 2 games remaining out of the 3 against an interdivision opponent, which would be the Commanders. It was also nice to see a little bit of offensive balance and efficiency. It's crazy that I feel like I've said this all year, but when A.J. Brown isn't getting 10 receptions, 100 or whatever, they tend to win. And it's crazy to look back on it. In this game, he had 2 receptions for 41 yards and a touchdown. He got his touchdown, but it wasn't so pass reliant. They're a run team. I mean, even with Saquon Barkley and his 22 carries and 78 yards, I didn't even account into the fact that Will Shipley got some carries, and we know Tank Bigsby, I think, played for majority, if not the entire fourth quarter, along with Tanner McKee, who everybody was up in arms about having to start over Jalen Hurts. So he did get some time in the fourth quarter. So it was just nice to see that a mix of running, efficient passing, which definitely kept the Raiders defense off balance. So it was good to see and hopeful that they're able to kind of ride this momentum and this strategy through the last 3 games of the season and into the playoffs. Their defense has been on one. I mean, I know even in the last game when they lost, their defense still played really, really well. And their defense is doing this without Jalen Carter, who missed the last 2 games with a shoulder situation. He had shoulder surgery apparently. So without him being there, Also, it's quiet as it's kept. Nakobe Dean got injured last year. And I think that was probably a good reason or part of the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles decided to draft Jahad Campbell, even though, of course, he's a great player. And he started the season off really, really well for a rookie. But once Nakobe Dean came back, it's been Nakobe Dean's show. So that definitely puts them in a pickle as far as what they're figuring out they're going to do, because they have some good linebackers that they're going to have to figure out who goes where. But the defense delivered their first shutout since 2018, holding Las Vegas to just 75 total yards, the fewest allowed by the Eagles since 1955. They sacked Kenny Pickett 4 times and limited the Raiders to 3 of 12 on third downs. Again, Nakobe Dean led the way with 8 tackles and 2 tackles for loss, while the unretired Brandon Graham added 2 sacks throughout this game. So it just kind of shows off the reason really why he came back is for depth. We know he's not going to be out there all the time, but if we can get 2 sacks out of him in the game, sign me up anytime. Some key playmakers that, definitely did some great things. Dallas Goedert returns to the end zone. He had 2 touchdowns in this game. If you heard it, he should have had 3. He dropped a wide open pass that resulted in them having to kick a field goal. So the score could have been a lot higher had he caught that. And after that catch, you could see how dedicated and then sure-handed he was going forward, because he definitely didn't drop anything after that. Again, A.J. Brown, 2 catches for 41 yards, and especially Saquon Barkley. Now, of course, it wasn't a 100-yard rushing game, but again, I don't think he played in the fourth quarter had he needed to. There was definitely a possibility that he would have hit 100 yards rushing in this game. All in all, it was a great win for them. I don't know if you want to say great, but it was a good win that they needed to win. You beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. And definitely they're positioned to secure a home playoff game currently. But they definitely still have to make sure that they don't overlook their next opponents. In the mix between them playing the Commanders, they do still have to play the Bills, who, of course, had an amazing comeback against the Patriots on Sunday as well. So that is definitely a game that they're going to have to get up for as well. But this Saturday, they'll be playing against the Commanders at Northwest Stadium at 5. I will actually be in attendance at the game. I'm hopeful it's not too cold. I don't know the last time I've been to FedEx, Northwest, whatever you want to call it. So that should be interesting. Speaking of the Commanders, we did have an interdivision game this week with the Commanders versus the Giants. The Commanders defeated the Giants 29-21. Marcus Mariota, yes, Marcus Mariota and not Jaden Daniels, was 10 of 19, 211 yards, 1 touchdown, 10 carries for 43 yards. Lil Bill had 18 carries for 96 yards and 1 touchdown. Terry McLaurin, 3 receptions, 69 yards and 1 touchdown. On the Giants side, Jackson Dart was 20 of 36, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 9 carries for 63 yards. Tyron Tracy Jr. had 15 carries for 70 yards and 1 touchdown, and 3 receptions for 27 yards and 1 touchdown. Theo Johnson, 3 receptions, 72 yards, and Wan'Dale Robinson had 5 receptions for 54 yards. On the Commanders side, it was, again, both these teams have been officially eliminated from the playoffs. But for the Commanders, it's just a sigh of relief to know that they've snapped their losing streak. Washington ended its 8-game skid. Any type of positivity that you can get, even though the season, is out of reach for them to make the playoffs. But you always want to try to end on a good note, which is also a reason why the Philadelphia Eagles need to pay attention to the games that they play against them. I'm sure they're all for playing spoiler, so they're definitely having, after losing 31-0 against the Vikings last week, to come back and, be the interdivision team that is a little tiny bit on the rise with Jackson Dart and the spark that he has given. So the victory improved their record to 4-10. But again, it's just nice for them to actually get a win in this game. Their ground game, as far as running the ball, was pretty much the focal point of this game for them. They controlled the game on the ground, rushing for 145 yards. Lil Bill, on the ground game, 145 yards and a touchdown, 37 carries. Lil Bill had 96 of those on 18 attempts, 5.3 yards per carry, as well as Marcus Mariota with the 43 yards rushing as well. Speaking of Marcus Mariota, they did come out and say what I have been hoping that they would say all year, that they are shutting Jaden Daniels down for the remaining of the season. So it will be Marcus Mariota for the remaining 3 games on their schedule, which is just a no-brainer. Again, they're not playing for anything. Yes, they're playing for possibly continuity, but it's a large chance that some of these players won't be back next year. So it can't be that much continuity, and continuity can't be can't prioritize over health. And we know Jaden Daniels re-injured his left elbow, which is his non-throwing arm, in the previous game, and there's just no reason to put him out there and put him in harm's way. So I was really happy to hear about that. Their special teams played well. Jalen Lane delivered a 63-yard punt return for a touchdown late in the first half, which gave Washington a 19-7 lead. And his performance tied a franchise record for punt return touchdowns in a season, and highlighted him as pretty much of a dynamic returner. You know, whenever you can get one of those, the Cowboys have one in Kayvon Turpin. We know what Devin Hester did for years and years and years. If you can have one of those, that could flip the game really, really quickly. So, again, nice to see a spark for them, something that they can lean on to going into next season. Granted, they did, like I said, have a pretty dominant, heavily run offense during this game. Terry McLaurin did kind of make his presence felt with his catches. He had a 51-yard touchdown that extended Washington's lead. Again, Marcus Mariota finished with 211 yards passing, which, of course, just complemented their running attack. Their defense kind of bounced back as well. Again, when you let them score 31 points on you against the Vikings previously, and we know that they've had a lot of up and down games throughout this season. I think they rebounded a little bit. They limited the Giants to 7 points in the first half. They forced key stops. Veteran corner Antonio Hamilton stepped up in multiple pass breakups. I think a lot of people probably forgot Von Miller played for the Commanders. Von Miller recorded a sack that moved him to 12th on the NFL's all-time sack list as well. They capitalized on Jackson Dart's interception before halftime, which set up a 22-7 lead. So I think their defense tried to bounce back as much as possible. Even though we know that the Giants offense is also kind of spotty, but again, you play the teams that are in front of you. If one concern comes out of this game, just one, if you want to, again, without them making the playoffs, Washington fumbled 4 times in this game. So ball security is definitely something that they need to kind of make sure that they are paying close attention to. We all know the peanut punch is real, and players are looking to hunt for that all day long. Mariota responsible for 2 of those fumbles. So that's something that he has to make sure that he cleans up, especially being the starter for the last 3 games. They did recover most of them, but it nearly cost them, the game. Again, it was still 29-21, the Giants coming back. So all in all, it was a positive for them to get out of that game with a win. On the other side of it, for the Giants, it's kind of the same story over and over with them. Missed opportunities and mistakes that they had. They had multiple chances to change the game, but they just failed to capitalize on any of those. They came up empty on 3 critical second half possessions, including a 1st and goal from the 1-yard line that resulted in 0 points, where you can't do that. They had penalties, such as a 15-yard personal foul by center John Schmitz. It killed a lot of their momentum, stalled a lot of their drives when they had these things. So it comes down to execution with them, and that's been something that they have struggled with for majority of the year. Their special teams, while we talk about the special teams for the Commanders, the special teams for them was the complete opposite. Again, they allowed the 63-yard punt return, which, again, put Washington up 19-7. And I don't know what happened to Younghoe Koo. I don't know. I know when he came into the league and he was in Atlanta, he was one of the better kickers, and over the last couple of years, he has just been struggling. He missed 2 field goals in this game, a 51 and a 52-yard field goal in there. So that's also not going to help them. And think about it, if he had scored that, they would have had a closer score at the end of the game, and never know, could have put them in a different position to make different decisions. I do think we talked about Abdul Carter and his time of, lapse in judgments, missing key meetings and things of that sort that caused him to be benched. This was probably one of his better games within the game. He delivered his best performance of the season. He had 7 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, and a fumble recovery. He was pretty much everywhere. So hopeful to think that he took the criticism that he received due to his lapse in judgment, and he's channeling all of that into his play. So hopefully for them that he will continue that into the next year. But their offensive side still continues to struggle. We know they're missing Cam Scatterville as well as Malik Neighbors. Jackson Dart does what he can. Again, 246 yards and 2 touchdowns, but threw a costly interception before halftime. And their offensive line, again, broken record. I feel like we talk about that every year. They struggled in pass protection, and they allowed multiple sacks, and it just isn't good. Unfortunately for the Giants, they'll be going back to the drawing board again next year. Again, looking for a new coach as they still have an interim, and their same GM will be leading that charge. They will be playing against the Vikings on Sunday, and then, of course, the Commanders will be playing against the Philadelphia Eagles on Saturday at 5. And last but not least, the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys played against the Minnesota Vikings. They lost to the Vikings 34-26. Dak Prescott was 22 of 38, 294 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 carry for 2 yards. Javonte Williams, who did leave the game with I think it was a shoulder injury, but he had 15 carries and 91 yards and 1 touchdown. Malik Davis also had 8 carries, 21 yards and 1 touchdown and 2 receptions for 16 yards. And CeeDee Lamb had 6 receptions for 111 yards. The other side, J.J. McCarthy was 15 of 24, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, 4 carries for 15 yards and 1 touchdown. Aaron Jones Sr., 12 carries, 34 yards and 3 receptions for 31 yards. CJ Ham had 1 carry, 1 yard for 1 touchdown. Jordan Addison, 2 receptions, 66 yards. And Jalen Naylor, 3 receptions, 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a very slim chance for them to make the playoffs, and that slim chance has gotten much slimmer. It's between a 0.5, 0.6% chance that they will make the playoffs, and their only opportunity to do so would be to win the NFC East. In order for them to do that, they would have to win out, and the Philadelphia Eagles would have to lose out. So again, this game this weekend for the Commanders and the Eagles, it's very pivotal for the Eagles as well. So they'll need to probably go really, really hard to win that game. And you never know, maybe rest the starters for the remaining of the year, because there's not much more that they'll be able to do. They won't be able to catch the number 1 seed. So that's definitely a big, big thing for them to enter the Dallas Cowboys enter this week, knowing that they needed to keep their playoff lives alive. Losing the way that they did to the Minnesota Vikings was just insult to injury. Their defense, where of course we know it's been a talk all year. Their offense has usually not really been the problem outside of maybe some drops from CD, but the defense has been the issue all year. And after they got the acquisitions of Quinnen Williams, it started to look up. But these last 2 games, they've kind of reverted back to their old tendencies. Again, allowing 34 points. This is the 7th time this season they surrendered at least 30 plus points. And we all know J.J. McCarthy has been struggling. He is essentially a rookie after sitting out his rookie year with a knee injury. He threw for a career high 250 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, added a rushing touchdown where he decided to gritty into the end zone in AT&T Stadium. So that had to hurt a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, Dallas recorded just 1 quarterback hit all night. And their secondary just got burned. There was plenty of times where I didn't think anybody was in the same stratosphere as Jordan Addison or Jalen Naylor. And it's just disheartening. Trayvon Diggs hasn't played, I think they said, since week 6 or week 7. Still don't really know what's going on there. I think he was injured last year, and then he had the freak accident with the concussion. But he's been practicing. So I think that's what's kind of concerning why he hasn't played. And it's like now with their playoff chances the way they are, I don't know if we'll even expect to see him for the rest of the year. Their red zone efficiency continues to struggle as well. After scoring touchdowns in their first 2 trips, they settled for 6 field goal attempts, converting only 4. I think we talked about this last week as well. Brandon Aubrey has shown that he might be a little bit mortal. Anytime he's come up there, it's usually been automatic. And to see him miss field goals just kind of is encompassing of what their season is so far. I think a lot of people had a lot of high hopes for them going into the season. Maybe not everybody, but people, did think that they would do a little bit better this year. But it just didn't good. It didn't do well. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Minnesota scored touchdowns on 75% of its red zone chances. Brandon, again, like I said, Brandon Aubrey struggled, missing 2 long field goals, 51 and 59 yards, where that's like a chip shot for him, to be fair. And then, of course, a lot of people are still, talking about Matt Eberflus. I don't know what the rationale behind hiring him was. It hasn't really worked out. Now, granted, he might not have all the personnel to make it work, but it's just hasn't come to fruition for them this year. So again, they have a very slim chance of making the playoffs. In order for them to do that, they're going to have to go out this week. They play against the Chargers, who is coming off of killing off the Kansas City Chiefs. So who knows what you'll see with the Chargers as well. And you never know. So we go from having 3 teams make the playoffs. Well, not 3 teams. I'm sorry. Was it 3 teams? 2 teams to make the playoffs last year. To possibly only 1 out of the NFC East this year. So definitely a change. But I'm sure a lot of the teams are already tooling up to do better for next year.
All right. From the NFL to the association, Ray, what's up with the Wizards?
Oh man, I get to talk about something I don't get to talk about often. A Wizards victory. Their last time out, they were victorious against the Indiana Pacers on Sunday. They won that game 108-89. And who would have thunk it? The turning tide of that game was their defense. The Pacers came out and scored 32 points in the first quarter. Over the next 2 quarters, the Wizards held them to 34 points total. They kind of switched it up through a zone in Indiana, and it just had them out of sorts. And the Wizards were able to take control of the game and never relinquished it. I had a big night for Marvin Bagley III, 23 points, 14 rebounds. They had 6 players in double figures. Justin Champagnie had a double-double as well. Keyshawn George sniffing a double-double with 9, sniffing a triple-double actually with 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. So, it was just a total team effort. And it was good to see. And as we say oftentimes on Outlook, when their defense is flowing, it just spills over into all the other areas of their game. We saw multiple players get into the flow offensively. That's because they were getting stops, getting out, getting a few easy baskets, and that kind of eased the tension and allowed them to operate better on offense as a whole. Really, the only negative, they missed 10 free throws. But, as Wilson says a lot, when you just check off more boxes than you know. And they definitely checked off a lot of boxes in that game. They shot 46% from the field, which is good. Kept the turnovers down, only had 11 turnovers. They conceded 11 points off those turnovers, which, as we've been seeing recently, they've been giving up the ball at an alarming rate and also allowing teams to immediately score off those turnovers. So it was good to kind of see them curtail that. They destroyed them on the glass, 56-41, and they dominated in the paint. So, if the only negative of the game is you lost at the free throw line, 17-16, you're in a pretty good place. They are going to be super busy over the next week. They're going to be at San Antonio on Thursday, at Memphis on Saturday. Then they'll come back home and face the Spurs again on Sunday. And then they'll be playing the Charlotte Hornets next Tuesday. So, it's a couple winnable games in that stretch, especially if they play the way they played the other night. I just want to see them keep their defensive intensity up. Because no matter what's going on the other end, if they're not defending, and you can just pretty much chalk it up as an L. But like I said, when the defense is going, then it just feeds the other parts of their game, and everybody seems to be more in tune and more engaged in the game, and it just yields positive results. We know they're not going to win every game, which is obvious. Seeing as how their record is the way it is, but. I like this team a lot better when they're defending the way they did against Indiana.
All right. On the college basketball, Cardo.
Yeah, man. GW. took a trip down to Florida against the defending national champs, who ironically has been struggling this season. And they put up a good fight. They fell short. Look, the hell of a test in their toughest non-conference matchup in years, but they fell 80-70 on Saturday. They showed poise early, overcome initial shooting struggles to briefly take an 18-17 lead. Rafael Castro, all A-10 first team preseason selection. He was going to work inside, and a dunk heading into halftime kept them within striking distance at 30-27. Halftime adjustments. We said in association looking at the Wizards, it's the same thing on the college side. Coming out of half, the game swung heavily in the favor of Florida. Florida started the second half on an 11-0 run to open it. The second, and they created the separation that they needed. And GW spent the remainder of the second half trying to erase that deficit. Despite cutting a 20-point deficit from Florida to as few as 8 behind a 9-0 run, the Gator turned things up defensively. GW missed opportunities to try to get easy baskets. And, Florida was able to pull it out. Trey Austrie paced GW with 15 points and 5 rebounds, while Tyrone Marshall Jr., added 14 points and 7 rebounds. Castro and Gene Montgomery also reached double figures. GW closed non-conference play with that loss, unfortunately. They fell to 8-4. They will return home on the 22nd, about a week, to take on Division III St. Mary's College out of Maryland. And then, prepare for conference play. For those that don't know about the A-10, currently, out of the 14 teams, 12 teams are above 500, with 4 teams having only 1 loss. So, put it simply, the A-10 will be held. Moving on to George Mason. And George Mason's one of those 1-loss teams. George Mason men's basketball capped the week of celebration with a hell of a performance. They honor legendary head coach Jim Larrañaga, obviously the head coach that led them to the Final Four back in 2006. They defeated an old conference rival when both of them used to be in the CAA, Old Dominion, 73-61 inside Eagle Bank Arena. The Patriots raced out to a 31-8 lead behind a ridiculous start from Riley Allenspach, who scored the first 17 points a game and finished with a career-high 26. Then ODU, they showed some resilience. They mounted two big comeback runs. But George Mason, despite seeing a 23-point advantage shrink to a 58 tie midway through the second half, Mason responded, like a veteran group, closing the game on the decisive 14-1 run to steal the victory and improve to 10-1 for just the 3rd time in program history. Masai Troutman added 14 points. Fat Hill contributed 11 points. The Patriots dominated the paint and bench production, delivering and fitting on contribute to their legendary coach. Kind of representing a proud past, and I wouldn't even say promising present, because they're here right now putting in work. So it's not even promise. It's shown to be something that's sustainable. So it's a big reason why they're 10-1 currently, man. I just stated the strength of the A-10 schedule. So it should be a fun conference season that's just around the corner.
Yeah, the arrow's definitely pointed up over there, and I need them to go upset another big school so they can take the shine off of what they did, because, man, I will never forget where I was that day when it happened. I was working behind the bar, and the whole bar was on my head because of what George Mason did that day. So, yes, I need somebody else. George Mason needs y'all to do to somebody else, preferably ranked even higher than us, so we can just end up being like a former Jeopardy question. Because right now we're at the forefront of that Jeopardy question. I don't want it anymore. But I am happy that they're back, man. But every time I see or hear something positive about it, it's like a sharp pain just to that moment. Like, yeah, I remember when that happened. Probably never gonna get over that. On to things that happened in College Park last week. Through the technical difficulties, I was trying to tell you guys about the amazing comeback Maryland had against Minnesota. Well, look, I'll just put this up on the screen. it seemed like they, Delaware State found them on the wrong side of a wild comeback. They had no time for that last Wednesday. The Terps moved to 12-0 with a dominant 91-21 win over the visiting Hornets. Their defense was once again the leading story. Their defense not only matched the level of dominance we saw. Remember their season opener when they held Loyola to 26, and we thought that was probably, that was impressive. Well, they topped that. They held Delaware State to 21. It would be a program low, passing the previous record of 22 set against Shippensburg State in 1972 and Morgan State in 1874. The Terps didn't allow 10 points in any of the four quarters for the first time since the women's games made their transition from halves to quarters, which was 2015-2016. Maryland was led by Yarden Garzon and Aluchi Akanawa's 18 points. Kendall Walker finished with double figures as well, with 13. Mir McLean and Izzy Ozzy Mamadou had 11 points apiece, and Izzy getting a double-double with 11 points, and Mir missing out on a double-double, coming up just 2 boards shy. We're watching the beginning of the run that never seemed to end. Maryland's defense set the tone early. 12 points off turnovers from Delaware State in the opening quarter. It didn't hurt that Garzon got going early. She scored the first, the first 8 points for the Terps. She finished the first half with 16 of her 18 points. Maryland's defense, again, been talking about this every segment this year. They've yet to give me a reason not to. 19 turnovers, scoring 25 points off of them, and that's good for a game. That was for the first half. They held them to 25% shooting. For the game, they forced 30 turnovers, scoring 45 points of those. They also won the Battle of the Glass 46-21. This week, they will be playing Central Connecticut State on Friday, and kind of like the version we covered the Mystics, like those camp day games, just that early start, loud building, kids will definitely be there. But Cardell, we're going to move on to something new before we get to take it or leave it at rapid fire. So the floor is yours, sir.
Get a lot of comments on social media. Thought I'd bring it to the forefront. Moving forward, we're going to just kind of, bring the fans into the show a little bit more, man. We pose a question each week that we're going to put live on the show and post their comments. Wilson, if you will. Miss Isaiah Thomas had a lot to say about the current state of the narrative of evolution. He stated, I'm going to push back on evolution of the NBA. These guys didn't grow a different limb, leg, or anything else. Only thing that is changed in basketball is you shoot from further distance and you accept people missing more from further distance. Isaiah Thomas, Hall of Famer, champion, a million-time All-Star on the evolution of today's NBA players. And yes, it was a spirited comment section. Just want all of you guys to share your thoughts. We're going to start with you, Malik, on what you see. Do you agree with OG Hall of Fame Isaiah Thomas perspective?
I agree with him. Definitely the leeway and the leniency is different now than what it used to be compared to and what it is now. He's right, and people look different, but it's still the same body parts. Some of the rules are a little bit different, which goes into the the new generation thing. So I think that goes into its own saying. But yeah, I see where you're coming from.
The first comment, and then we can just pick some out and just to comment on them. All right, the first comment. Do for Self Academy Temple. He says Zeke is 100% correct. Got one that agree. They tell me Charlie, in a sense, I'm agreeing, but there's more. It's not fair for the offensive players to be more physical than the defense, than the defender has to move away for the shot attempt. The unbalance kills the brand for me. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that one of the points that make it that separates the generations and separates everything from what he's saying. That's one of the pieces that in my head also debunked it, because now offensive guys there's no they can get away with the hand foul. They're shooting X amount of free throws a game. The amount of 3-pointers are going up. So just the rules and the expectations of the players now, as they used to be, are indeed different. So that in itself also separates the time periods of when we're talking different basketball players, because 90s, 80s basketball averaging 30 points per game wasn't league wide, wasn't a thing. Now a few players, definitely a player per team, can average 30, and that will be seen as, he's just on fire. But yeah, just the rules and the conceptions on what it is to be a superstar now is definitely different. So the league and the narratives are being pushed in that regard, just so more tickets can be sold.
Okay. Yeah, I agree as well. You gotta have balance. You gotta at least give the defender a fighting chance. It can't just be all the rules, and advantages can't be all geared towards the offensive player. That's just, that you get what you get now. You know what I mean? And it's not exciting. What's exciting is competition. An elite scorer against an elite defender. Who's gonna win that battle? Who's gonna win this quarter? Who's gonna win this game overall? That's what makes it exciting, man. You know what I mean? Or against a good defensive team, a good offensive team against a good defensive team. Like who's gonna win out, man? You know what I mean? So, I definitely feel like it's a terrible imbalance between the both sides of the ball. Next up, KSO 3000. I disagree. The average player is just a better overall player. Now, I will argue that players like himself, Magic, Bird, MJ would thrive in any era, but Kelly Tripucka is at the end of the rotation in today's game. It's funny how they pick certain role players that I'm pretty sure they probably didn't take time to watch and all that, and discredit from back in the day, man. But look, I'm not going to do it, but there's a whole lot of role players today that your name that would not that would not be in the rotation back in the day. So we gotta relax. There's some terrible teams in the league right now that are purposely being terrible. So you got to calm down now, and especially if you ain't seen Tripucka play before, man. He can boogie, man. He played with Isaiah, so you can't just throw out a name and think it's gonna stick. You got to know who you're talking about. You got to pick a different player than that, man. Anybody else got something to say? If you got, before we move on, get a couple more.
Like if your whole argument is gonna be based off make believe, then I just can't respect it from the beginning. Like you don't know what Kelly Tripucka would do today because he's not playing today. Like we just gotta deal with facts. The facts are, the rules allow for a lot more creativity, I'll say, to keep it nice offensively. The way these guys dribble today, it will be called a turnover every single time. So, those guys weren't allowed to do the same things that are done in the game today. And to a certain extent, I'm not mad at it. Like we wouldn't have Allen Iverson's crossover if the game was still officiated the same. Like some leniency I'll live with, because guys they build on what they saw before. The dribbling gets a little fancier and whatnot. But all this, like if you look at the NBA rule book now, they've like legally written out to allow a player to take 5 steps. Like that's just foolishness, man. Like, so all this evolution stuff, that's gotta go. And I don't know if people understand how human evolution works, but you don't just become a completely superior race in 40 years. That's not how people that's not how people work, man. Like all that stuff, just go ahead and do away with that. So yeah, I think we just got to keep things in perspective when having this conversation, and not just be truthful about how things are different in the league now. And the last thing he said, people are just allowed to shoot more. It's not that everybody can shoot. Everybody's just allowed to shoot. And that's why the product is the way it is. With the amount of threes that are being taken, if it was that much more evolved, the scoring would be way up. So is everybody a better shooter or is everybody just shooting more? Because there's a big difference.
And by the way, Kelly Tribuca, his best season as a pro on the same team with Isaiah Thomas, 82-83, he averaged 26, 4, and 4. On 48, 37, 84 shooting splits in the era where they can knock the hell out of you if you start to get it rolling. His career numbers, 17, 3, and 3, just under 4 rebounds. 47, 36, 84 shooting splits for his career. That's why you gotta be careful just throwing names out there, man. A little crazy in the light, man, but we're gonna move on. But that and also the changing of traveling and palming, Dashiki Braxton, that and also the changing of traveling and palming violations. That 1, 2, 3 extra stuff that Ray was just talking about, that wasn't allowed at Zeke's time. It gives so much more opportunity to make space and create your own shot. He ain't lying, man. I know, like last week, I was watching the Timberwolves and Suns game, and Grayson Allen literally did a karaoke into a jumper. I was like, dog, he did a karaoke agility drill to a jumper, and then pump fake and step through and hit a runner. I had to turn that joint off for a little bit, dog. I was like, yeah, see, come on, man, come on, come on, dog. Come on, man. Look at he doing the karaoke, dog. Come on, man. Come on, man. Dog. And what made it worse, it's a ref on the sideline that started to call travel that he just stopped. It's like he forgot the memo for a second. I was like, nah, dog. See, nah. I just turned on the college game for a little bit to get back to respectability. But that's what we talking about, man. So no, they're just allowed to get away with a lot more BS, man, and that shouldn't even be allowed to get to begin with. So, it is what it is. We can scroll down some more, get one more comment, then we can move on. Let me see. So, all right, we can start with RC Cam 1274. So, are they average 60 points a game with more freedom of movement? If you look at what they get paid in comparison to players in the 80s and 90s, production should almost be doubled, or their shooting percentages should be a lot higher, like 60, 70%. They should be shooting 90 to 98% from the free throw. If American workers got paid on productivity the way athletes did in comparison to production 40 years ago, wages will be way higher. Why do athletes get paid so much more? Yeah, he took it there. Feel free to chime in, folks.
Hey, that comment had me done, and they're still going and adding to this thread, by the way. Like, there's 16 messages. I've been checking all day. After they get to like double digits, I just keep looking. So, Carter, I don't know what you started. But, yeah, man, like, evolution, right? Y'all love throwing this word around. Why is not everybody – why isn't everybody KD and Wemby? Evolution, correct? That's the world – the way y'all talk, that's the world we should be living in. Also, like, I know that's facetious, but so what this gentleman's point, shouldn't it be more 50, 40, 90 guys? It's more space, more threes, freedom of movement. They don't play defense, but with them 16 games start in the real season, aka the playoffs, or the Olympic years when all of a sudden everybody's favorite scorer can't score anymore, which is my favorite. That's my Super Bowl of basketball. Every couple years, come FIBA play. Because everybody looks, not everybody, but people look different, man. All of a sudden, the guys average 30. Boy, they learn how to play defense, move the ball, and fill a role like a champ come FIBA basketball. And again, I'm not naming no names, just saying, because some of these dudes, during the 82-game season, y'all are going crazy. They better than this person, that person, and that person. Put USA on their chest. Why they change that much? The only thing that changed was the physicality in the FIBA game. If you average 30, then it should. What's the issue? But again, like this gentleman said, man, if it's really evolved and everything else, why these people can't shoot?
I was gonna say when he said 90 to 98 from the free throw, from the free throw line, I was like, for goodness sake, we still doing hack and Shaq in 2025 because they just know you're not gonna make the free throw. They out here trying to rename it because they're like,
It's a legit strategy. At least Shaq had his name at it. You know, it didn't, but like
now they trying to rename it for Mitchell Robinson or whoever else they decide to deploy it on. It's actually hilarious. And then like when you talk about the rules evolving and everything, and every time I feel like they try to do something to help the defensive player out, it kind of magically goes away out of nowhere. And then like one thing I thought about was what happened to the flop rule? Like I remember seeing this a lot at one point. I don't see this no more. You know, so I just find it funny.
And they complaining about OKC defense. I'm like, they're just playing physical defense. I'm like, they be holding and you know, they be grabbing and stuff like that. I'm not saying nothing when y'all drive and y'all push off. Y'all put y'all shoulder into their chest. Y'all doing karaoke drills, agility drills.
Absolutely.
Ain't nothing. Y'all ain't complaining about that. Like, damn, everything supposed to go y'all way. Like, God damn, dog.
The travel to carry, like,
dog. The dudes on fast break taking 7 steps. Like, my man, dribble at least. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog. I mean. Nah, man, it's just craziness. Even this last comment with Classic Man 336-1, saying Isaiah is his favorite player, so I'm not going to disagree with him, but I will add that the skill level of taller players has evolved. I'm thinking he's talking about Wemby. No, they had Ralph Sampson back then. They had Ralph Sampson. Only thing Wemby do different than Ralph is he shoot threes. But Ralph had that range, but again, they weren't going to be out. He's 7'4". He going in the paint. He going to dominate. Like, dog, I'm taller than all these dudes. I'm not about to be out on the perimeter shooting threes, letting these little dudes off the hook. I'm going to dunk on them until they make me have to do something else. And also, damn, I got to guard Jabbar. I got to guard Moses Malone. They ain't out here, dog. And then these little dudes ain't going to do it. They going to mess around and get 50, and they're going to look like they gave me 50. So I got to go in this paint and rumble. You know what I mean? So, no, man, y'all make claims about players that we all know, we could tell you didn't even watch. And highlights is not watching. You got to watch full games to get a real measure of what they could do. Because, again, like I always bring up a player like Dennis Rodman, who did not give a damn about scoring whatsoever. You got to watch a game to see his true value and why he was so valuable to winning teams. I'm not even getting on the off the court stuff. I'm just talking about his play on the court. All he cared about was locking up 1 through 5. I mean, from Magic Johnson to Jordan, the Bird, Karl Malone Barkley, Shaq Ewing, David Robinson, and Dream. Guard all of them dudes. And, like, guard them. And the bad boys and bulls, like, we good. Stay with yours. On that type of time. And then get you 15 rebounds a game. That's when you see his value. Or he get the rebound, outlet it, outrun everybody down the court for the 10th end of the layup. That's value, or how smart he is on defense, the rotations and stuff. That's why if you look at the bad boys, if you look at the Spurs, all the teams he played on until he got too old after the Bulls, and them teams were like top 10 in defense all the time. And the bad boys and Bulls were always around number 1. He was one of a kind. So you got to watch games to see people value. Stats don't tell the whole story, and people got and scoring is not the end all be all to define if a player is great or not, man. You know, we got to kill that noise, man. So look, it is with like Wemby. He wouldn't even have to have. You could take away his offense, he would still be a force because of what he could do defensively and how he rebound the ball. He would still be a force. So, nah, man, y'all got to kill with this evolution. Stop copying what the people that's in cahoots with pushing this narrative is. Stop repeating what they saying, man. Come on, man. Everybody got eyes. We know it's not evolved, and just because things change don't mean it's changing for the better either. So we gotta kill all that. But yeah, let's move on to take it or leave it and rapid fire. Appreciate it, Wilson. Take it or leave it. In the aftermath of a disappointing 136-131 Sunday night loss in Portland, Golden State Warriors owner Joe Lacob had a brief email interaction with a fan that made its way to the public. The Warriors fan, Justin Tatari, sent Lacob a critical note minutes after the game telling him that the team needs a real second option, that Jimmy Butler's tools are being underutilized, and blaming the lack of positional size on the roster. Quote, "I am so frustrated," Tatari ended his email. Shortly after, Lacob sent back his response. Quote, you can't be as frustrated as me. I'm working on it. It's complicated. Style of play, coaches' desires regarding players, league trends. Jimmy is not the problem. Datari published the interaction on Reddit. The Warriors confirmed it was Laker who sent the response. The back and forth, while brief, peeled back the curtain on the growing angst bubbling behind the scenes. The Warriors are 13-14, stuck in 8th place in the crowded Western Conference, despite loftier preseason expectations in the fading days of the Steph Curry era. Lakers' email put a particular spotlight on Warriors coach Steve Kerr, who has held firm to his unique offensive system built around the strengths of Curry and Draymond Green throughout their 12 seasons and 4 title runs together, even if it conflicts with the ideal system for the younger players of the roster. Quote, not a big deal, Kerr said, acknowledging he's seen the email, not concerned about anything like that. Kerr is in the final season of his contract and announced during training camp that he wasn't seeking an extension, preferring to let the season play out before discussing his future with the franchise. Man, leak, so many layers to this. Do you take it or leave it? 2 parts. Do you take it or leave it? The exchange between Laker and the fan, and do you take it or leave it that the fan leaked it out to the public?
Do I think that the fan leaked it out to the public? Maybe. I say maybe.
No, he did. Ain't no.
Okay. So what was the second question?
Take it or leave it. As far as, was it right for him to leak it out to the public? Should he have kept it private?
Okay. I might say, you're a fan. I might say, hey, if your favorite celebrity or someone writes you back, you're probably gonna post it, and especially if someone of that caliber, people get into it with Kevin Durant all the time and they know they'll get a response, so probably excited, depending on the person. I understand why they're doing that. I wouldn't, doesn't really gain anything, but they got some retweets. I might say they got a lot of retweets, a lot of traction today. Yeah, that first part of that question, what was the centerpiece of that?
Second piece, take it or leave it, the exchange, just between them, what was said between the exchange about the state of the board.
Yeah, I might say, because it's definitely, I had to ask specifically because there was a lot of layers of this that you could just write a book about. Yeah, the Warriors team, it's the NBA, 82 game season. So if they win 5 games straight in the next 7 days, this will be a 2 week ago story. So they definitely need some pieces. Jimmy Butler is definitely not a consistent number 2. He's definitely not a consistent 1B. He's not. He's a playoff guy. He's definitely playoff Jimmy. That's definitely there. But to get to playoffs, you got to win games right now. Like he said in the response, the style of play, the coach's desire regarding certain players, we know those players are. It is a complication. Steph's a little older now. You want him to carry the load, the complete load, and have some people follow him that can help him out a little bit. And that's just what it is right now. That's how that roster is constructed. So you just really, I take what he said word for word. That's absolutely the things going on. And Jimmy is not the problem, but he's not being the solution either. And he can help be the solution because he has those capabilities.
Okay. Octavia, take it or leave it.
So I'm gonna leave the response because, bro, why are you responding to fans? Like, what is this? Like, is this an encrypted email? Like, why are you just out here willy-nilly just telling all your business to the whole world? And what makes you think that he not gonna post this somewhere? Like, the logic just isn't, like, the math's not mathing. So yeah, to say back you can't be as frustrated as, at least give a PR answer. Like, at least be like, I hear your concerns. Us as the Warriors, we're committed to making sure we put the best product on the court, and we're working towards that every day. Why are you having in-depth conversations and strategy meetings with whoever this person is, Justin? Like, you don't know Justin from a can of paint. Like, to me, that's why I'm leaving it, because I don't even know why you're having that conversation. The fan, you're corny for it. That's just me. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll say that, but they probably sent the email not thinking they were really going to get a response. I would assume. Unless they do this all the time, and this is just the first time he was like, "I'm gonna drop this one. It's gonna mess him up." I just don't understand, like, why even entertain something like that when you know the type of spotlight it's going to put on your franchise, and you guys are already struggling, like you guys talking about. Like, why even entertain it? To me, that was dumb. Yeah, it could be true, but that don't mean you got to go out there and talk to every Joe Smith and Justin about it. Talk to the people that are in the franchise and figure out what you're doing. Justin don't work for you. Justin, you're not paying Justin to come up with strategy. Who is Justin? Like, I just think so. For that, you get everything you deserve. You get this conversation that everybody's having, people looking at you sideways. Steve Kerr, who's been pivotal in the franchise for all this time, to find out that you out here sneak dissing in an email to somebody named Justin. That's just crazy. I hadn't heard this story before right now, and that is ludicrous.
Who all went? Just Malik and Octavia. Greg, go ahead. What's your thoughts on it,
man? Honestly, man, I don't even mind the response. You know, I think it's pretty cool that he actually responded. But you know, in this digital world we live in, I'm not surprised it was posted. I wouldn't post it. I would just look at it and be like, "Oh, damn, the owner actually responded. Cool." And I mean, he's kind of just echoing what's pretty much been talked about for years now, to be perfectly honest. That recent championship kind of gave them some leeway before it got to this boiling point. But you know, I once they kind of messed up that 2 timelines thing, I knew we were going to get here eventually. But yeah, me reading between the lines.
You mean the 2 timeline? You mean like the when that Poole and Wiggins, when they kind of let all them go?
Yeah, like when they had that crop of young guys like Moody and drafting Kuminga and all that.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, like when they were trying to change over regimes, so to speak. But they still felt like they could compete, so they rolled with the older statesmen, and you know, and then they were still trying to develop the youngest. Like, that's just a tough spot to be in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, me reading between the lines, all I can hear is this is Steve Kerr's last year in Golden State. Like that's basically what it sounded like to me. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. I was kind of surprised when I saw that he responded. But yeah, I think they're in a weird spot right now, and I really don't think it's a solution. It's just gonna have to play itself out. They had a good run, and it's about time to turn the page.
Wilson.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it. I can't stand when owners do too much. Like this is childish, and it's cool I'm not mad at the fan at all. Like, this is normal fan activity. You get written back, you're gonna go tell everybody that's cool. It's 2025. You're fans, so I'm gonna take it on the fan stance. But Mr. Lacob, somebody should have came and took your phone. What are you doing? One of the reasons we here is because, you know, apparently you've played a big role in a certain somebody sticking around when you've had a whole saga over somebody being here and not being here. Could have traded them, didn't trade them, finally got him signed. Still an awkward fit because he doesn't really fit in the system. Multiple accounts and stories saying that you were the one that pushed for him over the guy who got drafted right after him. And we here now. So if any of that stuff is true, hey, man, you can't, like, if you played a role in it actively. Now, if you were an owner, you just sat back and all this happened organically, still I don't want you to respond to the fans. That's just bad business. Like, what are you doing here? But like, we know you got a soft spot in your heart for he who shall not be named. And man, I don't have time for that. Because for all we know, if they actually wanted the guy after him and you vetoed that, like, I don't know where we are, but that person might have been a better fit skill wise for what they were going into. But we're here. But yeah, I'm leaving it for Lake Up. I'll take it for the fan. Fans are fans.
Like who is his assistant? He don't got an assistant. Like I guess what's bothering me so much because I work in corporate, right? And anytime somebody mad about something, they want to email the CEO and they want to talk to the CEO. You don't talk to the CEO. you talk to the assistant who reads through it and puts together a comprehensive response back, politically correct. You don't talk to the CEO. Like, his assistant should be fired for letting him do it at the same time. Everybody just what is going on at this point? Because like, why are you responding to this? And like, wow, I hate it.
The only thing I can think of that makes sense is if he like, I got this, I'll take this, because he is that type of owner when he interacts with the fans and stuff, and they've always had that type of organization. Plenty of times when
go email Jeffrey Lurie.
What's my man name? Bob Myers, when he was the GM, when the Warriors would come to town, it was nothing to leave Capital One after the game and see Myers out there just signing autographs with Wizards fans, just chatting it up with them, like chilling, saying he did that a lot. So that was just that's the type. That's why they always win the PR awards for the NBA, like the meet, like the access, and that's why they love. But something like this, I do agree. Certain things you just can't disclose, like front office business. It's so many moving parts, and it's so many things that is involved, man. Like certain things leak out, it can literally mess up a full-on deal. You know what I mean? Like you have to be very, like, it's cool to have access, like watching the players work out, play behind the scenes, practice, but the upstairs stuff, that stuff got to kind of stay in house, so unless it's some harmless stuff. Like I know some people do like, scouting video, stuff like access like that, but what they do is they had the cameras there, and then they're going to release it after they make the moves they made. They're not going to do it like during the whole process of them doing it. Like, yeah, man, we're going to trade Steph Curry for Trae Young, and then they're going to release the video that day before they actually do the trade. Like, that's basically kind of what this is. They're not going to do that. You're going to catch it a month later or something, if that was to happen. Not saying it's going to happen, man. So, yeah, I just think it got to be some type of professionalism. I'm not calling him unprofessional, but it got to be some type of professionalism. Like, hey, man, part of the fan experience is you're going to be disappointed sometimes. It is what it is. Losing is a part of it. It ain't the first time the Warriors have had a rough spell before. It won't be the last time. Hell, when we was growing up, outside run TMC, the Warriors was garbage. They was garbage. Wasn't a thought about it. Then they had a little flicker light with C. Webb and Spree. And then they went back to irrelevancy. Then Baron Davis and them boys, Steven Jackson, they got to work. That's pretty much it. It is. Then Steph came on the scene, and the rest is history. So, nah, man, I just think that's an exchange you have. Like when you have your little season ticket thing, if he's a season ticket, you address it. And you don't have that type of stuff flowing around because he gonna post it in this era, and like people gonna post everything. Like, yeah, it's
emails look like right now for the Chiefs. They probably all give him all types of pointers.
Look, and then you kind of threw an indirect jab, maybe not so at Steve Kerr, man. Now it's just messy, dog, and y'all are struggling. It's too much messiness, man. Like it's just too much, man.
Men are messy too.
That's what I'm saying. It's just too much. It's too much mess, man, and it's gonna hit a breaking point where it's just like, all right, everybody go. I'm just start this over, man. And in the world, we've been warning people for years. This tax apron league, this era we in for the next few years, it is real. So you can be mad all you want. There's no point in stress. You be mad all you want. The bottom line is, most teams gonna be handicapped because unless you that dude, I mean that dude, it ain't no sense in moving for you if we just gonna tread water. Because yeah, you gonna get paid, but you gonna be surrounded by a bunch of minimum contract players, and we gonna get our ass whooped, but you getting paid and putting up numbers.
Yep,
so you really gotta draft well. you pretty much got to do what OKC's doing. You got to draft where you got to have some top tier guys that you know are legit, and then you got to draft where have a bunch of role players that can contribute about winning, good character guys that work and that blend well with the superstars. That's how you got to do it, man. And it's tough. So you saying we got to make moves? This ain't 2K, man. It don't work like that. And that owner has paid millions in luxury tax to try to keep this championship window open, man. So he has a lot of tough questions. Jimmy, what, 36, something like that? Like, dog, yeah. Father time is real, So it's a tough situation to deal with, man. But if I would have got back to the fan as an owner, my responsibility is vague, and the damn show wouldn't have hinted at like, yeah, we got a coach who likes certain things a certain way. And just hey, man, I just say something vague like, yo, man, I understand your frustration. We working on trying to change that and keep it moving. If that's what you really want to do, man, you know what I'm saying? And then that's that. If you that type of owner, which I think he is, man, you know what I'm saying? So if you keep it that vague, he'd be like, oh, man, because it was an email, but we've seen like Mark Cuban go back and forth with fans on Twitter before. You see what I'm saying? It's not unusual. Jerry Jones, Lord Jesus, like, come on now. So we can't criticize them, but I'm just saying, man, it's bad because they lose, and that's what makes it worse, man. So, all right, last thing, this is more, it's not really a question, but, more of a salute. 5-division champion Terrence Crawford announced earlier that he has retired from boxing. Now the announcement came just 3 months after Crawford became the only boxer in the 4-belt era to become an undisputed champion in 3 weight classes, accomplishing the feat when he defeated Canelo Alvarez for the undisputed super middleweight championship in September. Crawford posted on social media that he was walking away as a great with nothing else left to prove. Quote, I'm stepping away from competition, not because I'm done fighting, but because I won a different kind of battle, the one where you walk away on your own terms. Crawford said on his YouTube channel, this isn't goodbye. This is the end of one fight and the beginning of another. I gave this for every breath I had, every scar, every triumph, every ounce of my heart. I made peace with what's next, and now it's time. Thank you. Crawford, 38, retires from the sport with a 42-0 record with 31 wins, coming by knockout. In addition to being undisputed at super middleweight, he became undisputed in the welterweight division when he defeated Errol Spence Jr. by knockout in July 2023, and was undisputed champion of the junior welterweight division with he stopped Julius Ndongo in August 2017. Crawford has held 18 major world championships across 5 weight classes: lightweight, junior welterweight, junior middleweight, and super middleweight. He topped ESPN's top 100 fighters of 2025 and retired as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. Octavian, we'll start with you, man. Just thoughts on Bud Crawford's retirement?
I mean, like he said, what else he got to prove? He ain't got nothing left to prove. I think the Canelo fight was like the cherry on top, of a great career. And of course, you, especially in a sport as vicious as boxing, to be able to walk away on your own terms and not have to have, I'm sure there are somewhere down the line health concerns and stuff, but to not have to, be knocked out to incapacitated and they like, you just can't fight no more, to walk away on your own terms. Like, you can't beat that, especially like I said, he don't got nothing left to prove. The picture itself with all of them belts right there, like I don't even know what else we need to talk about. I'm glad that he made the decision for himself. I know the sport will surely miss him, to see him go out there and do what he does. But kudos to him. He did a lot of stuff that people didn't think he could do, especially with the Canelo fight. A lot of people didn't think he could do it. So he's proved a lot of people wrong. He's gone through a lot of personal trauma in his life, and to come through and still go forward and do the things that he's done in a sport that everybody ain't good at. Everybody can't fight. Everybody can't fight and everybody can't box. People might be able to fight, but they can't box. So it's a as they say, it's a sweet science. So everybody can't do it. So for him to be able to do it as long as he did, go out 42-0, you can't beat that. So like you said, salute to him, his family, and I look forward to see what his next chapter is, because I can only imagine if you get his hands on somebody and start to mold them and turn them, I don't want to say turn them into the next him, but, you know, turn them into something that, you know, we've seen with him, and he could pass on his knowledge and his skills to somebody else. Like, I look forward to seeing that. So congratulations to him for an amazing career.
So, Ray.
Yeah, man, it was no reason for him to step back in the ring. Like Octavia said, what more do we need to see from him at this point? And, you know, one of my favorite things in sports is when an athlete steps away at the perfect time. You know, he's pushing 40. He's achieved everything you can achieve in boxing. Still seems to have his faculties about him. You know, just go ahead and ride off into the sunset, man. Like, this is like if the last image we had of Mike was the shot in Utah. You know, picture perfect ending. You know, he accomplished everything he set out to do. And I know the competitor in him was fighting this decision, you know, because as an athlete, especially one that's reached that level,
It don't die.
you got, yeah, and I know that he could still get it done, but wow, just enjoy your life, man. Enjoy your success, and, you know, just props to him.
Elite.
Yeah, this is definitely a congratulations and a salute to him. Like Octavian and everybody else said, there's nothing more to be done. He's not chasing. It's not a storyline that has his numbers in it. There's nobody that he can fight that can connect his comparison to anybody else from the other generations. There's nobody else that he can beat on that can make a better comparison of what he's already done. And again, to be able to walk away with fighting at your own terms and not being carted off or ambulance or anything like that is a blessing in itself. So athletes are now understanding that they are bigger than the program, than some of the programs that they are a part of, NFL, NBA, even here in boxing. So I'm happy athletes are starting to understand that, and they're caring more about their families than about, you know, selling tickets for other people.
Wilson.
As everyone alluded to, it was just a perfect way to go out, man. That Canelo fight was the last little. There's nothing to wonder, nothing to question. It was like, here, damn, y'all got what y'all asked for. A question about this is the answer. Cool, great story. No further questions is what I took the Canelo fight as. Like, there's nothing. I don't need to hear anything else. Shouldn't have been questioned to begin with, but, you know, some people like to have things spelled out for you, so he made sure he spelled it out real slow for everybody. He's like that. And like you guys said, it's great to see somebody walk away comfortably at the height of their powers. This job well done, man. He's a hell of a fighter.
Yeah, for my take, I think he's top 10 all time, easily, for what he's accomplished. And not just that, how he can fight, being a switch hitter in boxing, that's extremely difficult. And for people that may not understand, that's like, say you Steph Curry, he can shoot equally as well with his left hand as he does with his right hand. That's what Bud does in the ring. And that's just, you can't, that takes a lot of dedication to the craft to be that damn good, to switch and box the same, be elite both ways and have no flaws, no weaknesses. He could defend, he could throw every punch, got a chin, can go the distance, knock you out, knockout power, smart, savvy, understands when to seize the fight. It's a bad month, man, and you know, the details when I'm most impressed with. Like, for me personally, he's in my top 3 fighters for me that I like Ali, Roy Jones, and then him. Those are my top 3 fighters, because of the detail. I like athletes that are very detailed, because that shows a dedication to the craft that a lot of athletes don't have. They get by mostly on talent, or they're half-assed the detail. Now he was all in his preparation and the dedication. And you know, unfortunately, boxing might be the most political sport out there, especially at the level he's at, where so many corrupt people want to gatekeep and keep fighters at bay because they can't make no money off of them. And that's the biggest testament for what he did. And I think that's what drove him away. Like, I don't want to have nothing to prove, first of all, but I don't want to deal with that shit no more, especially after the last situation where homie was trying to get like 6 figures from him to retain a belt. He's like, dude, I got the belt regardless, man. Like, I don't need your belt. man. And I think that's what, like, you know what the hell with this, man. You know what I mean? So there's nothing else to prove. And let's be honest, there really are no boxers worthy for him to really fight. You know, like it's some youngest coming up, you know, like Boots Ennis and all that, but to me, they got more work to do. You know, it is what it is. It's like he's Michael Jordan of the sport right now. Like, say somebody like a Boots Ennis, whatever, they like young Kobe with the fro. You got work to do. You're not even starting on your own team and you want a shot at the king, dog. Like, start on your team. You 6-man right now with Eddie Jones in front of you. Start on your team, win some rings, and then you might be able to step in the ring. And that's what it is. But you know, I ain't gonna wait around for it. You know, I accomplish it. And that's why they wanted to hold him at bay. They knew he was dangerous years ago. Like, I'm a boxing head, used to do it, wanted to keep doing it, but basketball took off. They knew he was that dude years ago, and they kept him at bay because he didn't play the game, a la like Roy Jones back in the day when he promoted himself, or Floyd Mayweather when he took control of his business. When you take control of your business in boxing, man, you better be that dude. You better go undefeated because they're going to try to keep you at bay. And they kept him at bay for a while until he beat Errol Spence. And then it was over. And then he was patient, and he got the big fight that could send him out to the sunset, and that was Canelo. That was really the only guy of his caliber that made sense. And he beat the hell out of Canelo. And like, just call it what it is, man. It was convincing, dog. So like Ray said, that's a perfect illustration. It was the Jordan game winner in Utah. 6, I'm out of here. Mic drop. And you got to salute a guy like that, man. Like, he wanted not just one of the baddest boxers ever do, one of the greatest athletes to ever do it. You got to tip your hat off to him. It's on you, Will.
Yeah. No, for sure. Definitely left no stone unturned. Shout out to him. We will see you guys next week. Same time, same place as always. Wizards folks, we'll see y'all a couple more times this week and next week. But y'all have good evening. Enjoy the rest of this week. We'll get at you guys soon.